Hello everyone, greetings from Apollo Hospital, Delhi, and welcome you all to the Avatar 2020 webinar. I am Dr. Gaurav Sagar, Senior Consultant Nephrologist, and I'll be speaking briefly on the steps of retrograde and antegrade tunnel dialysis catheter placement. So coming to the steps of antegrade and retrograde tunnel dialysis catheter placement, this is a brief overview of the central venous anatomy, and as we can see here, the important veins which are accessed for the tunnel dialysis catheter are the internal jugular, followed by the subclavian and the femoral vein. Of course, the right internal jugular vein is preferred because it has a straighter course to the heart, gives lesser kinks and provides better flows. There are certain situations when the patient has exhausted all the vascular access. Sometimes we have to approach the translumbar or the transhepatic veins. There have been instances where we have used the azygous vein for access, and sometimes we have also used collaterals as a temporary access for the dialysis catheters. So in this presentation, I will be using the retrograde catheter from Arrow, which is the VectorFlex. This is the catheter. We can see here, this is the catheter, this is the introducer, the tunneler, this is the peel apart sheath, the dilators, and this is the hub which is attached to the end of the catheter over here, and these are the clamps which are used for venostasis, so that to prevent air embolism. So now we are going to see the introduction of guide wire under ultrasound guidance. It's a protocol nowadays that all punctures have to be done real time under USG guidance. So here we can appreciate the vein, and this is the artery. So what our practice is that we try to puncture as low as possible, just close to the clavicle. And if you see the vein, we are entering the vein from the lateral aspect. If we enter the vein from the lateral aspect, that gives a very smooth curve and avoid kinks in the catheter. So you can see the needle going inside the vein. Free flow is accessed, is confirmed, and then we introduce the guide wire into the vein. As a principle, we always secure the wire into the IVC. Here you can see the wire is in the IVC. So what are the advantages of putting the wire in the IVC? First, if the wire is in the IVC, you are sure that you are in the venous channel. Second, placing the wire in the IVC reduces the risk of arrhythmias. And finally, the wire provides some sort of support so that the dilatation and the insertion of the catheter is comfortable. So after giving 2% local anesthesia at the site of guide wire insertion, a stab incision is made with a blade. Now this step is very important. This is what I always consider very important. With the help of an artery forceps around the insertion of guide wire, we just dissect the tissue slightly, so that this is the area where generally the kinks are formed. So if we dissect this area around the guide wire, the catheter sort of tends to sit comfortably around the wire, and the chances of getting a kink are considerably less. Then the serial dilators are used and the dilatation process is done. It's important that the dilatation is always done under fluoroscopy. There are many centers who are doing tunnel dialysis catheters without a fluoro, but generally this is not recommended. My teachers used to tell me that this is the step which is most important, because most of the complications happen at this time. So all dilatations have to be under fluoroscopic guidance, and especially in the beginning of the learning curve, you have to be very careful. You don't want any complications, because you will be discouraged to do procedures further. So after the serial dilatation, the sheath is introduced, which again is done under fluoroscopic guidance. Inside, what we do is we take the catheter and we put this is the venous clamp, we put the venous clamp so as to prevent air embolism. This clamp is put here, and the catheter is then introduced into the sheath under fluoroscopic guidance. Again, this you can see the catheter going inside the peel apart sheath, and then after confirming the position of the tip of the catheter under fluoroscopy, the peel apart sheath is sort of pulled away so that we can pull it out. So here you can appreciate the sheath being pulled out. Either we can take the help of the assistant who has to keep a finger over here so that the catheter doesn't sort of migrate out, or you can keep your own index finger at this point. So once the catheter is inside, you have to recheck the position that the tip of the catheter has to be in the right atrium. The advantage of this retrograde catheter is that you can change the position according to your convenience, and you can adjust the tip so that it is in the right atrium. For our patients, the dictum is that the tip of the catheter should be about 2.5 vertebrae below the carina. So when the tip is 2.5 vertebrae below the carina, the tip is generally in the middle of the right atrium. The venous clamp, the hemostatic clamp, is then applied just close to the skin and just near the cuff so that the catheter does not migrate again and it does not change its position. So once this is done, the other end of the catheter is adjusted and it is placed on the skin so as to know where we want our exit site. So it can be approximated and we can see where the exit site has to be. Like this is the point where will we keep our exit site, and this we can see is the cuff where the original venotomy was done. So again, after infiltrating local anesthesia, a stab incision is done with the help of a blade, and then the tunneler is introduced over here directed towards the venotomy site. Here we can see the tunneler coming out from the venotomy site. It has a hand grip so that it can be assisted, and then the end of the catheter is fixed on to the tunneler. So as we close it, there is a snap which we can hear and which we can feel, and once this is done, once the catheter is fixed to the tunneler, with the help of pull and push technique, the catheter is taken out from the exit site. So now we can see the catheter is out. This is the tunneler attached to the catheter, and once the catheter is out from the exit site, what we do is we cut it with the help of a scissor from somewhere across here about 1 inch away from the exit site, like this. So the clamp is here, the catheter has been cut with the help of a scissor about 1 inch away from the exit site, and then this is the hubs which are available with the catheter. You just have to screw on to the catheter and try to apply some pressure over here tightly so that this is the final picture which we get. So there has to be no leakage over here, and you have to do it very firmly. And then this is the end result where we see the catheter flows are very good. Now I will demonstrate the steps of the antegrade tunnel dialysis catheter placement. For the antegrade tunnel dialysis catheter placement, I am using the palindrome set which is available from Mahurkar. This is a symmetrical tip catheter. So again, under ultrasound guidance, the guide wire is introduced and we ensure that the guide wire is passed into the IVC. What we do next is that we place the catheter on the chest wall and sort of try to measure the exit point. A smooth curve has to be there so that there are no kinks. With the help of the cap of a needle, we just make a mark on the skin surface to be sure where our exit point would be. Then after infiltrating 2% local anesthesia, we give a small incision around the guide wire. As I had said before, this step is extremely important. If we dissect around the guide wire, the fibrous tissue around the guide wire is removed and the catheter sits comfortably on the chest wall, thus minimizing the kinks. Adequate dilatation being done around the guide wire. Now what we are doing is we are hooking the catheter onto the tunneler. The distal tip of the catheter is hooked on to the tunneler. So from the exit point, we put in a blunt forceps so that the tunneling process is smooth. So generally what I do is I take the tunneler and bend it so that it gives some sort of leverage when you are introducing the tunneler in the subcutaneous tissue. You take the tunneler and point it towards the venotomy site. Feel the tunneler with the index finger and then slowly and steadily with the pull and push technique, you take out the catheter from the venotomy site. This is the peel apart sheath which is available with the catheter. It has a unilateral valve inside which allows the dilator to go inside but does not allow any blood to come out. So we will introduce the dilator inside the sheath and then lock it up. Now we are using the serial dilatation. It is important again to do all dilatation under fluoroscopic guidance. So serial dilatation by the catheters under fluoroscopic guidance, there are two dilators, the smaller one and the bigger one, and then you put in the sheath. The peel apart sheath is already inside, and then we will take out the dilator along with the guide wire. The catheter is then introduced into the peel apart sheath. This is also done under fluoroscopic guidance. You can see the catheter moving inside the sheath. Now we have to pull apart the sheath. We pull it apart and press it downwards. While pulling out the sheath, we have to be careful that we do not pull out the catheter, so we can keep our index finger on the catheter. Finally, we will check the position and the flows. For the catheter to work successfully, the exit site, the kinks and the tip has to be important along with a smooth curve. Again, the catheter tip has to be in the middle of the right atrium or 2.5 vertebrae below the carina. The catheter is then secured with the help of a suture and the flows are rechecked. So what are the differences between the antegrade and the retrograde tunnel dialysis catheter? The retrograde tunnel dialysis catheter offers a better tip position compared to the antegrade one. So especially in patients who are obese or who have a thick neck or who have had multiple accesses in the past with lot of fibrosis, I would prefer the retrograde tunnel dialysis catheter in place of the antegrade. Putting a tunnel dialysis catheter over the wire, and especially in veins which have been stented because of central venous stenosis, retrograde tunnel dialysis catheter again offers some advantage. There are lesser chances of migration when doing the procedure with the retrograde tunnel dialysis catheter. But yes, having said this, I would suggest whenever you are starting to do the procedure, whenever you are learning the procedure, it's always easier to start with antegrade tunnel dialysis catheter compared to the retrograde. When you begin to do these procedures, the right internal jugular vein should be preferred, and only once you have done about 8 to 10 right sided procedures should you attempt the left internal jugular or the left subclavian veins. Another theoretical advantage of retrograde dialysis catheters is that you are tunneling from inside to outside compared to the antegrade catheters which are tunneled from outside to inside. So, probably there is some lesser risk of infections when you are doing a retrograde tunnel dialysis catheter compared to an antegrade one. Thank you all for your kind patience. We are now open to question and answers.